Hi everyone, it's Beth, and today I want to talk about the Ethereum Classic 51% attack that we've just seen and what I think we need to be concerned with proof of work coins in general. So before I get started, if you're new here, go ahead and please make sure you get subscribed to the channel. And if you do like the video, then please do leave a like. And now let's get into it. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the Ethereum Classic 51% attack. Of course, this is just one 51% attack that we have seen on proof of work type network consensus. But before I really talk about that, let's talk about the difference between ETH Classic and Ethereum. So once upon a time, there was only one Ethereum. And there was a project called the DAO on Ethereum. And the DAO was hacked, and before anyone realized what had happened. And the DAO, by the way, was the biggest project that was up to that time that had ever been on the Ethereum network. So it was holding a lot of ETH. And when it was exploited, when the attack vector on the DAO was exploited, someone was able to drain a third of the contract before anyone noticed what was happening. So basically all of the developers, everyone in the community came together and tried to figure out how to move forward from such a catastrophic hack. What they decided was that they could not come to a conclusion together. So there was a hard fork. And, well, the hard fork was to make sure that the funds that were stolen couldn't be used. So the hard fork rolled back the Ethereum network previous to the DAO. The people who did not like that stayed with Ethereum Classic because the big argument was that blockchains are meant to be immutable, and to go back and erase the hack like it never happened by just rolling back the blockchain, that was not true to the ideology behind decentralization. So they split off, and the chain that contains the DAO and has those stolen coins still there is the ETH Classic chain. And then the Ethereum chain, they rolled back the blockchain and moved forward, basically erasing that hack from their chain. So that's how we ended up with two different coins coming from the same network. So, but let's remember here that the big thing that the ETH Classic people were the sticking point for them was blockchains are immutable. Fast forward to today, and we have come to find out that, in fact, the Ethereum Classic blockchain has been rewritten, and it is no longer immutable because someone executed a 51% attack, and they were able to successfully have it looks like multiple double spends that were done before anyone figured out what was going on here. It does look like Coinbase was the first place that noticed that there were some reorganizations going on deep within the Ethereum Classic chain. So some of them did not include double spends, some of them did, but in total here it says that there were 11 deep chain reorganizations and double spends of 88,500 ETC, which is worth over $400,000. So, of course, the price of ETC has come down dramatically since then, and lots of exchanges have kind of locked things down with their ETC wallets. At the very least, the ETC community has come out and advised exchanges to require over 400 confirmations when using the network at this point. So that way they can get back to hopefully to prior to when the fake chain became what was being used as the real chain. So if you're not familiar with a 51% attack, there are a couple, let's see. So this article on Crypto Slate actually does a really nice job really summarizing everything. So it shows the attackers identified at this wallet address, which when this screen cap was done, this is from gastracker.io, this embed here. This private pool wallet, which seems to be the bad actor wallet, had 49.64% of the share of the hash rate. It is up. It's up again. Just before I reloaded this page, this was at 48.8, I believe, percent, and now it is back up again to 49.58%. This is the private pool here is the one being credited with having this attack. So let's see. It's dropped above and below 51%, which is required to be able to make a different chain and have that chain become the chain with the most work, which then makes it the recognized chain by the nodes that are interacting with the chain. So this article goes on to explain 51% attacks and reorganizations. But basically, so there's a bad actor who has more than 51% of the chain, and they start like surreptitiously mining a different chain. And in order for a double spend to happen, so they send a transaction on the real chain, and then also send that transaction over on the surreptitious fake chain. And once they kind of once the fake chain becomes the longest chain, or the chain with the most work, they can then just place that in and use that in place of that. Once it becomes the chain with the longest work, with the most amount of work, or the longest chain, that's what nodes will recognize. So then the honest chain becomes not the recognized chain anymore. So you can have transactions that took place on both chains and end up where the honest actors don't, it ends up with a double spend. They may never actually get their money because it doesn't show up on the new fake chain. So that's the idea behind a 51% attack, and it has been used on a lot of different coins, a lot of different proof of work coins, especially within the last year, as people were mining less cryptocurrency, so there was less hash power contributing to the networks. They became less expensive to attack and much more attractive to bad actors. So we can see here. Yes, here it is. So this is a Coinbase article. It's from last summer, and it talks about the 51% attacks that had been launched against Monacoin, Bitcoin Gold, Zencash, Verge, Litecoin Cash. There was Vertcoin a few weeks ago, and now Ethereum Classic today. So this is definitely an attack vector that, especially when there is not a lot of hash power on the network, it might not be that expensive to exploit. There's a site called crypto51.app where you can go and see what the cost of a 51% attack would be against different proof of work style coins. So, and it also shows you here what percentage of the hash rate can be rented from NiceHash. So one of the things that makes proof of work is that it is not financially efficient to attack the network, because it would cost so much to do that. Your time would be better spent just contributing to the network and receiving mining rewards rather than trying to create a fake network, because that ideally is so cost prohibitive, because you need to let's say buy the equipment and pay for the electricity, and that's how I think when Satoshi wrote the Bitcoin white paper, that's how he envisioned you would need to acquire enough hash power in order to attack the network. Well, there's NiceHash is out there, and you can rent hash power from NiceHash. So there are different coins out there where you can rent enough hash power to execute a 51% attack on a proof of work coin. And some of them are just not that expensive to do. Now, on the bright side, there is 0% of the hash rate available for Bitcoin for rent on NiceHash. So it's 0% nice hashable. And the 1 hour cost to attack the Bitcoin network is $318,603, according to this site. So that is pretty cost prohibitive as far as Bitcoin goes. But Bitcoin's, the biggest coin of them all and has the most people contributing to the network. So as you get down into these smaller coins where there is less hash rate that's happening, less computing power that is being contributed towards the network, it becomes less expensive to acquire 51% of that hash power. So you can see here's ETH Classic. You could rent 100% of the needed hash power in order to execute a 51% attack. You can rent it from NiceHash. You don't need to actually go out and acquire the hardware that would allow you to do that. And to run that attack for an hour, it would only cost you $4,500. And they're saying right now that the 88,000 ETC that were part of these double spends are valued at like 400 grand. Not to mention the mining rewards that this attacker has also been receiving. So it really might not be that expensive to attack some of these smaller proof of work coins. So perhaps that's an argument for Bitcoin maximalism. Perhaps it's an argument for a move away from proof of work style coins, especially for smaller coins, for smaller networks. But this is pretty scary information. I mean, really. And I think that it's this type of, here's Bitcoin private would only cost $29 to execute a 51% attack for an hour. And you could rent all of that hash power from NiceHash. And it would only cost you $29 for an hour. So, and again, Vertcoin recently had a 51% attack. You could see that all of that hash rate could have been rented from NiceHash. So this is definitely an issue that I think needs to be the computer scientists that are in this and are developing in the blockchain space, I'm sure, are hard at work at figuring out how to move forward from proof of work style network consensus, because it is pretty vulnerable in this 51% attack vector. So that's really the point here. I think there's a couple other really interesting ideas. Komodo is one that I am looking at, has a pretty interesting idea for moving away from proof of work. So that's one that I'm going to explore more. Also Digibyte, I'm going to explore some more into that and see what the minds, what the computer scientists, what the very smart people are thinking about here in this space. So, okay, that's pretty much it. There's just a lot to be concerned with, I think, with these 51% attacks. Even, Ethereum, you can only buy 5% of the hash rate that would be needed to execute this attack. You can only buy 5% from NiceHash. But there's another article that I found that says that it's on longhash.com that there are right now 2 miners that control over 50% of the Ethereum hash rate. So if those 2 miners came together and decided to be bad actors, these are issues that are real issues. So certainly, Ethereum is talking about moving over to proof of stake, which has its own set of issues and vulnerabilities. So there needs to be further evolution as far as network consensus, I think, is the moral of the story here. But this miner, this private pool, is still listed as, having almost 50% of the hash power currently on ETC. So this may or may not be done, this particular attack. And on a separate note, there's been some really like some infighting happening within the ETC community. There's the ETC dev announced in December that they could no longer function due to lack of funding. There was a Twitter kerfuffle between Donald McIntyre, who's works on ETC, and Charles Hoskinson, who has spent a long time working on ETC in addition to his work over with IOHK and work on Cardano. So there's just a bit of infighting already as to the future of ETC. So I think that this will definitely be interesting to watch move forward. So, all right, I think that's going to do it for me today. Again, if you like the video, then please do leave a like. And if you would like to see more from me, then please make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, you can leave those in the comment section. But as always, I would like to thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you next time.